In the worlds of acting and theater, Helen Mirren has always been a trailblazer, but her most recent news makes her even more brave. The people she's been friends with and the parts she's played on stage are all true to life. But there are some parts of her life that have been kept secret. Now that Helen Mirren has been in the news recently, nothing is left to the mind. Join us as we learn about a surprising and personal part of Mirren's life that has nothing to do with her famous work or her one-of-a-kind marriage. This story shows the tough decisions she had to make about her life and work. Try not to gasp as we tell you these things. Before we talk about her work, let's look at her early life and job. Early life of Helen Mirren. Helen Lydia Mironoff was born in 1945 and went from being of Russian descent to being a Hollywood princess. Her rise to fame was as interesting as her roles. In London, where she was born, her story starts. Her mother is English and her father is Russian. But her father wasn't just any Russian, he came from a family of Russian nobles. Imagine having a great-grandmother who was a real countess. That's how Mirren's family tree looks. The war between Russia and Japan was fought by her great-grandfather, who was a colonel. Mirren has a unique view because she comes from a wealthy family tree that includes a countess great-grandmother. However, life took an unexpected turn for her family. As a diplomat, her grandpa got stuck in England during the Russian Revolution of 1917. He got a job as a London cab driver to make ends meet. This mix of high-class roots and everyday life had a big impact on Mirren's childhood. In a school production of Hansel and Gretel, Mirren played the lead part. She went to Hamlet Court Primary School in Westcliff-on-Sea. After that, she went to St. Bernard's High School for Girls in Southend-on-Sea and kept playing in school plays there. Later, she went to London to study at the New College of Speech and Drama, which was housed in Ivy House, Anna Pavlova's old home on North End Road in Golders Green. She successfully auditioned for the National Youth Theatre NYT when she was 18 years old. When she was 20, she played Cleopatra in the NYT's production of Antony and Cleopatra at the Old Vic, which she calls the part that launched my career and led to her signing with agent Al Parker. What did Helen Mirren's childhood, which was shaped by Russian royalty, have to do with her early parts on stage? Finally, what new information about her usually makes you gasp? Check back to find out. Early years. Mirren was asked to join the Royal Shakespeare Company (RSC) because of her work with the National Youth Theatre. She played Castiza in Trevor Nunn's production of The Revenger's Tragedy in 1966, Diana in All's Well That Ends Well in 1967, Cressida in Troilus and Cressida in 1968, Rosalind in As You Like It in 1968, Julia in The Two Gentlemen of Verona in 1970, Tatiana in Gorky's Enemies at the Aldwych in 1971, and the title role in Miss Julie at the Other Place in 1971. She also acted in 4 shows for Century Theatre at the University Theatre in Manchester between 1965 and 1967, all of which were directed by Bram Murray. John Goldschmidt directed and produced a documentary called Doing Her Own Thing about Mirren while she was working with the Royal Shakespeare Company in 1970. It was made for a TV and showed on ITV in the UK. Mirren worked with Peter Brook's International Centre for Theatre Research in 1972 and 1973. She went on tour with the group in North Africa and the US, where they created the Conference of the Birds. She later joined the RSC again and played Lady Macbeth at Stratford in 1974 and at the Aldwych Theatre in 1975. While Helen Mirren was in Trevor Nunn's Macbeth, Sally Bowman wrote a history of the RSC in 1982. In it, she strongly criticized both the National Theatre and the RSC for their excessive production spending, calling it unnecessary and destructive to the art of theatre. She also said that the realms of truth, emotion, and imagination sought in performing a great play have become increasingly distant, often completely unreachable across a chasm of costume and technicalities. There was a big argument about this, and it was even brought up in Parliament. Even though she was harshly criticized, Mirren didn't seem to face any consequences from the RSC. She played a rock star at the Royal Court Theatre in the West End in September 1975. In David Hare's musical play Teeth, N Smiles, she is named Maggie. The play was brought back to life at Wyndham's Theatre in May 1976, and she played the part again. From November 1975 on, Mirren appeared in West End repertory with the Lyric Theatre Company. She played Nina in The Seagull and Ella in The Bed Before Yesterday, a new comedy by Ben Travers. The Guardian's Michael Billington said, Mirren is stirringly voluptuous as the Harlow-esque good time girl. She played the determined Queen Margaret in Terry Hand's production of the three parts of Henry VI at the RSC in Stratford in 1977 and at the Aldways Theatre the next year in the same play. She got praise for her role as Isabella in Peter Gill's production of Measure for Measure at Riverside Studios in 1979. She was called bursting with grace for the role. Mirren went back to the Royal Court in 1981 for the London opening of Faith Healer by Brian Friel. She got praise for her part in John Webster's The Duchess of Mal that same year. The Royal Exchange Theatre in Manchester put on the show, which later went to the Roundhouse in Chalk Farm, London. Francis King of the Sunday Telegraph wrote about her performance, saying, Miss Mirren never leaves it in doubt that this passionate, beautiful woman is the most important character of the story, even when she's not there. The first time was in January 1983 at the Royal Shakespeare Theatre as Mulcut Purse. The second time was in April 1983 at the Barbican Theatre. At the beginning of 1989, Mirren and Bob Peck performed together at the Young Vic in the London premiere of Arthur Miller's double-billed Two-Way Mirror. Michael Coveney of the Financial Times said that she swaggered through the action with radiant singularity of purpose, filling in areas of light and shade that even Thomas Middleton and Thomas Dekker omitted. In an interview with Sheridan Morley for The Times on January 11, 1989, Miller talked about their performances and said, "What's impressive about English actors is their willingness to openly express intense emotions. British actors are eager to communicate. In London, there is a more heartfelt interaction between the stage and the audience." She played the beautiful owner of a high-class store in Elegy for a Lady and a blonde hooker in Some Kind of Love Story. In the latter, she was dressed in a Freudian slip and effortlessly transitioning from delicate vulnerability to sexual assertiveness, giving the role a breathy, Monroe-like quality. Bill Bryden cast her as Natalia Petrovna in Ivan Turgenev's A Month in the Country at the Yvonne Arnaud Theatre in 1994, which led to a run on the West End. Her performance with John Hurt as her aimless lover Rakitic and Joseph Fiennes as the confident young Tudor Believ in only his second professional stage role was praised by many. Before 2015, Mirren had been nominated twice for Broadway's Tony Award for Best Actress in a Play, first for her debut in A Month in the Country in 1995, and again for The Dance of Death with Sir Ian McKellen. What did Helen Mirren do in her early career that made her so famous around the world? Let's find out. Mirren's notorious rise to fame in 1998. She played Cleopatra opposite Alan Rickman as Antony in Antony and Cleopatra at the National Theatre. The reviews were not good. The Guardian called it a plodding spectacle rarely infused with intense passion, and the Daily Telegraph said that the essential sexual chemistry crucial to a great production was glaringly missing. Nicholas Heitner, who had worked with Mirren on the movie The Madness of King George, cast her as Lady Torrance in his revival of Tennessee Williams' Orpheus, descending at the Donmar Warehouse in London in 2000. Michael Billington of The Guardian called her performance an exemplary portrayal of an immigrant woman who, despite her tough exterior, gradually embraces her sensuality. She said that director Michael Winner treated her like a piece of meat at a 1964 casting call in 2007. Winner told The Guardian that he didn't remember asking her to turn around, but if he did, it was in jest. He also said, "Helen's a great actress and a lovely person, but her memory of the event seems a bit off." Mirren continued to shine in movies with roles in Gosford Park with Maggie Smith and Calendar Girls with Julie Walters. There were roles for her in The Clearing, Pride, Raising Helen, and Shadowboxed. She also voiced the computer Deep Thought in The Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy. She is famous for playing British royalty in 2005. She played Queen Elizabeth I in Elizabeth I, Queen Elizabeth II in The Queen, and Queen Charlotte in The Madness of King George. This makes her the only actor to have played both Queen Elizabeths on screen. After playing Queen Elizabeth II in The Queen, Helen Mirren won a BAFTA, a Golden Globe, and an Academy Award. In her acceptance speech for the Academy Award, she praised Elizabeth II's dignity and strength during her reign. Mirren then went on to play supporting roles in movies like National Treasure, Book of Secrets, Inkheart, State of Play, and The Last Station, which earned her another Oscar nomination. In 2000, Mirren's first movie was Joel Hirschman's Green Fingers, a comedy based on the true story of prisoners at HMP Lawwell, a minimum security prison, who won gardening competitions. Mirren played a passionate gardener who coaches a team of prisoners, led by Clive Owen, to win a major flower show. The movie got mixed reviews, though. That same year, Mirren played a child psychologist in Sean Pennsylvania's third movie as a director, The Pledge. The movie got good reviews from critics, but it did poorly at the box office. She also appeared in Hal Hartley's American-Icelandic satirical drama No Such Thing, where she played a manipulative woman. Reviewers didn't like it very much, but it was Mirren's biggest critical and commercial success in 2001 with Robert Altman's Gosford Park. This ensemble mystery film, a tribute to Agatha Christie's whodunit style, follows a group of wealthy Britons and their servants to an English country house where a shocking murder happens. The film received many awards and nominations, including Mirren's second Academy Award nomination and her first Screen Actors Guild Award for her role as the formidable head servant Mrs. Wilson. Her last movie of the year was Fred Schapisi's Last Orders, in which she starred with Michael Caine and Bob Hoskins. In 2003, Helen Mirren was nominated for a Satellite, Golden Globe, and European Film Award for her role in Nigel Cole's comedy Calendar Girls, which was based on the true story of 6 Yorkshire women who made a nude calendar to raise money for leukemia research through the Women's Institutes. Mirren was hesitant to join the project at first, but she changed her mind when she found out that Julie Walters would be co-starring. The film was praised by critics and made $96 million worldwide. That same year, she was also in the Showtime TV movie The Roman Spring of Mrs. Stone, based on Tennessee Williams's 1950 novel and starring Olivia Martinez and Anne Bancroft. In 2006, Mirren won the Academy Award for Best Actress for her role in Stephen Frears's The Queen. How did early setbacks affect her rise to later fame? Keep watching Helen's later years. In 2010, Mirren was in 5 movies. In the movie Love Ranch, which was directed by her husband Taylor Hackford, she played Sally Conforte, who along with her husband opened the first legal brothel in the U.S., the Mustang Ranch in Story County, Nevada. She also played Prosper, the Duchess of Milan, in Julie Taymor's version of The Tempest. Taymor changed Shakespeare's original play to cast Mirren in the lead role, but critics didn't like the movie overall. In Rowan Joffe's crime drama Brighton Rock, based on Graham Greene's 1938 novel, Helen Mirren played a determined tea shop owner who doesn't want one of her young employees to marry a teenage killer. The film noir had its world premiere at the Toronto International Film Festival in September 2010 and got mixed reviews. But Mirren's best performance that year was in Robert Schwenke's action comedy Red, which was based on Warren Ellis's graphic novel and starred Victoria, a former MI6 agent. She joined the project even though she had doubts about how violent it would be, after learning that Bruce Willis was involved. Red was a commercial success, making $186,500,000 worldwide. Mirren also voiced Neera, the Bad Owl leader in Zack Snyder's animated fantasy Legend of the Guardians. The Owls of Georgia Hool, which made 141 million British pounds on a budget of 80 million pounds. Mirren's next project was Arthur, a remake of the 1981 movie with Russell Brand in the lead role. The remake got mostly bad reviews and was called an annoying, unnecessary remake, because she used to work for the Israeli Mossad. Mirren studied the life of Simon Wiesenthal while filming The Debt in Israel in 2009. The movie is a remake of an Israeli movie with the same name that came out in 2007. In 2012, Mirren played Alfred Hitchcock's wife Alma Reville in the biopic Hitchcock, which was directed by Sacha Gervasi and based on a true story. Alfred Hitchcock and the Making of Psycho by Stephen Rebello. The movie, which is about their friendship, while making the groundbreaking horror movie Psycho, had a moderate amount of success and got mixed reviews. Critics said it had tonal inconsistency and lack of deep insight. Despite this, Mirren was widely praised for her performance, with Roger Ebert highlighting her portrayal as warm and effective. Mirren was also in The Door, a tense thriller based on a Hungarian book and directed by István Szabó. It takes place in communist Hungary in the 1960s and is about how a mysterious housekeeper affects the successful writer who hires her. Mirren called the part one of the hardest things she has ever done. The next year, Mirren replaced Bette Midler in David Mamet's HBO biopic film Phil Spector. The movie is about the relationship between the notorious American musician and his defense attorney, Linda Kenny Baden, who is played by Mirren, during Spector's first murder trial for the death of Lana Clarkson in 2003. Phil Spector got mostly mixed to positive reviews, with praise for Helen Mirren and Al Pacino's roles. It was nominated for 11 Primetime Emmys and won Mirren a Screen Actors Guild Award. However, Clarkson's family and friends didn't like how it showed the case, and Spector's wife said it made Spector look like a foul-mouthed megalomaniac. In 2013, Mirren also voiced Dean Abigail Hardscrabble in Pixar's Monsters University, which made $743 million worldwide, and played the same role in Red 2. The sequel got mixed reviews, but it was a commercial success, making over $140 million worldwide. In 2014, Mirren and Indian actor Om Puri co-starred in the comedy drama The 100-Foot Journey. The film, which was based on Richard C. Moraes' 2010 novel and directed by Lasse Hallström and produced by Steven Spielberg and Oprah Winfrey, was about a rivalry between two restaurants in a French village. Mirren got good reviews for her role as a snobbish restaurant owner. She was excited about the part because it gave her the chance to play a French character. She laughed about her pathetic attempt at being a French actress. The movie earned her another Golden Globe nomination and made $88 million and $900,000 worldwide. Watch to find out how Helen Mirren's later career successes reflected the personal decisions and events that made her famous. Personal life. In the early 1980s, Mirren lived with Northern Irish actor Liam Neeson, whom she met while working on Excalibur in 1981. Neeson later said on Inside the Actors Studio that Mirren was a big reason why she helped him get an agent. Mirren met American director Taylor Hackford on the set of White Nights in 1985. They started dating in 1986 and got married at a Dresser Parish Church in the Scottish Highlands on Hackford's 53rd birthday, December 31st, 1997. This was Mirren's first marriage and Hackford's third. He has 2 children from previous marriages. Mirren, who doesn't have any children, has said that she has no maternal instinct whatsoever.